Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Solo True Entrepreneur Show with me, your host, Lorraine. Now, have you ever think of having a business where it's continuously earning you income 24/7, even while you are sleeping? Well, today I've got Chris Hill with me, who has one of those businesses in place. Now, Chris is going to be sharing with us in terms of what his business is about, but I'm just going to mention Spin Zone Cycle. Is that what it's called? Spin Zone
Spin,
Laundromat,
spin
right?
zone.
Now,
Okay.
Spin Zone, it's a very good name and it just tells it as it is. But what is this whole concept of Spin Zone itself?
Well, spin zone just came about only about 18 months ago. I've had laundromats for close to 10 years. But people liked my model and the way I was building laundromats and the way I was operating because they could see me not working in them. So I almost caved to the pressure of people wanting to know how to do it. So I created Spin Zone from that. Only about 18 months ago. And Spin Zone is now the brand of our laundromat franchise and chain. So we have corporate stores and franchises, and we have investment models as well.
So as you know, Chris is from Australia, from the accent, if you can pick that up. But let's look into this whole concept of laundromat, right? Because back in the day, especially when you're changing into that business model of laundromats, where there is a period of time where people are like, no, we're just going to have our own laundry, at home to save costs and things like that. What made you go into that business of laundromats?
A lot of people ask me that question. Why did you go into it? And I never thought I'd go into the laundry business myself. But it's more the business behind the laundry, I think. I like the innovation. There wasn't much innovation in the space here in Australia in self-service laundromats. It was the typical old-fashioned coin laundry that you think of with old top loaders, dirty detergent trays, and in and out. Uh, I wasn't too happy with my job at the time, but in the background, I was always doing something. I was always a bit of an entrepreneur, trying things and doing things and building things in the background to my day-to-day job. I finally caved into my own desires and built a laundromat, a single laundromat, despite friends, family, colleagues saying, don't do it. Everyone's got a washing machine at home. Why are you building a laundromat? It's not going to work. Even the tradesmen building it were telling me it's not going to work. It was quite fearful at the time. I stuck
So
to my
did
gun.
did someone just present a laundromat business and say this is for sale? Did you want to take it over, or what was your thought process into going
No,
down
no.
that field?
I had a vending machine business that I would work on about 4 hours every Saturday. But there was a lot of driving involved. So, I had about 100 machines that I'd have to service, and I'd service about 25 every Saturday. So over 1 month, I'd get all 100. I got sick of driving. The petrol was killing me, or the fuel for the car. So I wasn't making that much money, and I just thought I wanted one giant vending machine where everyone came to me instead of having to drive around. And that simple idea was a laundromat. It's basically a giant vending machine where everyone comes to you, and you just go to the one place to service it rather than 100. So that's where the idea sparked, and it took me about 2 years of research, and I think it was more getting over my fear for 2 years before I plunged into it. But after 2 years, I had done enough research. I'd studied sort of catchment areas. I looked at other laundromats. I wondered why there was no laundromat in certain areas. I spoke to people. I spoke to owners. So I did a lot of research, and eventually I found a spot which was closer to my home than everywhere else I was looking. I ended up finding one about a kilometre from my home, a vacant shop. So I took over the shop and I built the laundromat from scratch, and I built most of it myself. I got the trades in to do the trade bits, and I got the laundry equipment delivered and installed. But the design and the concept, and I painted it, I did the floor. I put the lights in, I put the security system in. I did most of it myself, hands-on. I made a few mistakes along the way, but it's all hidden nicely. So customers at the moment, like that laundromat's now about 9 years old, and it's still chugging away beautifully. It's like a little cash cow that sits in the corner, and I hardly ever visit it. I went there yesterday for the first time in maybe 3 months. And I only went there because someone else wanted to see it. So I was showing them. They'd flown
Well
all the way
done.
from Perth and wanted to come and have a look. So
Yeah, well done. And that's the thing about business, isn't it? Is doing that research before actually jumping in and taking that leap of faith, as they say, doing the calculated risk as as you've done with all that research in that business before actually taking that gun. But I think it's the leap of faith in terms of your ability to grow a vision that you foresee in your mind without listening to all the noise, as they say, in the background with everyone saying no, isn't it?
yeah, you're spot on, Lorraine. The combination of getting over your own fear and not listening to the negativity around you and doing your research at the same time, definitely need to do those things.
So in terms of franchising, where did that idea come in from a laundromat, business? Because when people take over, let's say, a dry cleaning business or laundromat, you don't think of scaling towards the franchising side of it. What came in place in terms of having that idea part of your business?
Yeah, there was a couple of things that came together for me. It was the fact that people were interested in my model. Like, how did I do my model? Other owners had laundromats, but they tended to need to do a bit more work in it than I did. So they were keen or interested to see how I had built mine because I was never spending any time there. They were hands off. So there was that aspect and the fact that they were doing really well as well. So the revenue they were earning or generating, they earned more than me in my first year when I was working a full-time job. It was the old 5-year plan. I'll see how we go after 5 years and make a decision. But in the first year, I did its tax return and it earned more than me. So that was it. I jumped ship and into the laundry business from there. But people was just curious because they could see me not working. I was interested. I didn't go flat out into the laundry building industry straight away. I did a few other things on the side until I realised that this self-service laundromat's not going anywhere. It's just getting better and better. So I thought, well, it's time to sort of double down on that. That aligned with the other people that were interested in it, that wanted their own laundromat as well, made me think of the franchise model. It really is an easy model to scale, so you can replicate it. So first of all, I wanted to just build more laundromats myself, and I ended up with about 5 or 6. And then I ran out of money. The bank wouldn't lend me any more money. I was out of equity. I'd reached my limits. So the only way to do more was to franchise or do an investment model. That way I could still keep building them. I could still grab the good areas and I could keep scaling. So
But you were also helping people increase and their finances from the sideline. So it's not just growing your business per se, but it's also helping other people growing their finances too.
100%. Look, I think it's the only way you can make this succeed is if you get your family, who and I call them my family now, the spin zone franchisees and the investors, get them on board, really help them, make it work for them. I'd rather have only 40 investors and franchisees with 3 or 4 laundromats each than having 100 single people with 1 laundromat each. To me, that doesn't make sense. I'd rather limit the people and help them and make them grow.
So this is a question as a business coach, right? As a business coach, people are like, oof, I've got a wife. I need to kind of consult her before I make that decision. Oof, I got a partner. I don't know what they're going to say about it. They're going to probably be on my back about it. How did you have your wife, Gary, on board of all these things and support you all this way?
quite easily.
How did you, oh, you convinced her easily, was it?
I did. I think she's she's similar-minded to me. So we're both okay in taking a bit of risk, calculated risk anyway. We like creating things, and we like people. We like helping people. So we've got all that aligned. So being able to get Gary on board was quite easy. I think we both need someone else that's a bit more grounded around us to keep our feet on the ground together, because we don't complement each other. We're both the same in that way.
So what is an advice for someone that is interested in the whole franchising part? And, as because you've come up from the job that you had in terms of building a business and now franchising. Like, what was the period of time that you would advise someone to consider the whole concept of franchising a possibility?
Well, there's two aspects to that. There's one of someone having a business and wanting to become a franchisor, and then there's the other side of that and wanting to become a franchisee. So I've turned my own stores into franchisees. So I am a franchisee as well as the franchisor. So my corporate stores pay royalties as well. So I know exactly what a franchisee is going through, because I'm under the exact same model. So if they're feeling any pain, I'll feel it as well. So I've done that. I don't keep the corporate stores separate. That way, I do. If something changes in our processes and systems, I'll know about it myself. I'll feel it. So I think that's a good way to do it. Everything when you're a franchisor, you need to systemize every single thing you do. We had a bit of a rule: if you do it 6 times a year, it needs to be automated. If you do it 10 times a year, it needs to be systemized and automated. Now we've got through most of that. Now we're looking at things that we do less than 6 times a year, like how do we automate them as well. So you get the low-hanging fruit and the important things first, get them systemized and automated, which allows you to have more time doing more important things, like looking at the numbers of your business, making, business decisions based on all your data. A lot of people don't get the time to do that. So I think that's where we're progressing. We know how much, one cycle will cost, your unit cost. What does it cost to run one cycle of washing? Why do you set your price at $7? How much profit do you want to make? What percentage is that profit? What's the average spend of our clients? All of that is so important to be able to make decisions and increase pull those little levers to get the best net profit you can possibly get without working in the business at the same time. So that's the whole, theory about it. And the other thing that comes up about it is the staff. People don't like staff. It's only because it's hard to get good staff these days here in Australia. People are always spending pretty much, it's almost a full-time job looking for good staff. Once you've got good staff, they still have to integrate with the team. So
a laundromat is literally a no-brainer at all. You have no staff, you've got machines, and it just keeps churning money. All you have to do is just check on it, isn't it?
Yeah, I had 122 people under me at one stage in my previous job, and all I was doing was managing people, and that was not meant to be my job. Now the washing machines are my staff, and they work 24/7, and they don't complain.
That's right, they don't complain. Right. So in terms of the journey of your business growth, you started with researching. You started having, putting it all on the line in terms of that decision making, right? But you also went down that route in terms of getting a business coach, which was also another level of growth. And on top of that, you actually spoke to a franchising expert, Susanna Hans, who actually I got on my podcast episode. So if you guys are interested, is on Spotify on episode 42 at the moment, sure, franchisee lady. And what out of that whole picture now, with now you including investors, what would you change differently with that whole journey of growth that you've had? Is there anything you change?
Look, it's every level is difficult. It's different. Every level has its different problems. So when you're growing, you definitely have growing pains. But once you're at the next level, you're sort of relieved that you're out of the last level, but then you start to feel the pain of the next level. And there's different level, different devil, they say, and
Oh, I like that.
It's so true. It's so true. I don't think I'd change too much. Look, going back there, definitely I would do things differently, but you've got to go through the journey and the pain to get where you are. So it's okay to make those mistakes. It's okay as long as you're learning from them, which everyone says, but you really need to. You don't just keep doing the same thing. A lot of our mistakes have led to us doing it properly. We've trusted the wrong people sometimes, and that's led to not using them again. That's an example. So as long as you don't keep using the same people that are not doing the right thing by you and you learn from it, keep going.
It's how quickly you can bounce out of that problem, isn't it? If there's a challenge or a problem, so how quickly you can bounce off a failure, as they say.
100%. You need to recognize that, okay, that could be done differently. Even my last laundromat is probably my best laundromat as terms of the way it looks and the way it was promoted and the way it's finished. Like it's fantastic. But I still look at it and I know where I could have fixed 100 things. If I look at it, I'm sort of thinking, oh no, I could have done that. I could have done that. And someone else is looking at it going, well, this is fantastic. But I know myself, and I've already fixed those problems in the next design. It's already done, so I'm not going to repeat them. You just got to keep going.
So I saw one of your launches, and you incorporated some culture in it. And I for those of you that don't know, Gary is a fellow Malaysian, such as myself. So to incorporate that whole lion dance thing when it's like so close to Chinese New Year. Like that's amazing to have that happen, because all launches of businesses are all different, isn't it? But to have that uniqueness of having that and having it so loud that everyone can see your spin zone laundromat. What's the thought of that one?
Look, I've done that from my very first laundromat 9 years ago. I just wanted something that was colourful and loud, something where it's going to attract their attention. So my first laundromat has got Bunnings across the road, and they have a barbecue, in the car park at about 10 o'clock in the morning. So Saturday morning we had our grand opening, and we ended up with half the store of Bunnings over at our laundromat, because of the noise and the colour. And they did such a fantastic job with this line dance. It was really good. I thought, from now on, I'm just going to do a lion dance.
Launch near Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
The lion dance then.
Yeah. So the being near Chinese New Year was just a coincidence with this one. If I keep opening them, I'm bound to have a few that come up in Chinese New Year. So that's even better. But I still have them. So people are still surprised to see them in October, the noise and the colour. So it still draws attention. I like them myself. I think all the kids love it too. So I think it puts a smile on everyone's face.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So what is your advice for business owners out there from a entrepreneur point of view? Like, what is a takeaway that you would like to share with entrepreneurs out there listening?
Yeah, I'll go back to the passive income side of it. I'm involved in a lot of laundromat groups and social media groups, and I see people say, laundromats are not passive income. You've got to work in them. It's too hard. No business is going to be passive if you don't put the proper systems and automation around it. It doesn't happen. Being passive doesn't happen by itself. You don't build it and it's passive. That's true. But it's not hard to put the passive systems in around it to be passive. I did a tour of laundromats over in America last November, and we spoke to a lot of owners. They were quite open with us because there was no threat of me from Australia coming and opening up a store next to them. So they were happy to talk to me, and they would sit behind their desk and hand out quarters for 12 hours a day for notes. That was their job. And if a washing machine broke down, they'd jump on top of it, put their hand down behind it and turn it off and on again. And I'd say to them, why don't you put a smart switch in so you can do it automatically? And they said, well, I'm here anyway. I can do it. I said, well, that's the idea. If you've got the smart switch, you don't have to be in. Simple things like that. Why don't you automate all your detergent and softener? There's all the mess in the whole store was just basically from powder detergent being, dropped everywhere or thrown everywhere. I said, just get rid of that problem completely and automate that. There's 3 or 4 things they could automate and they're done. They don't have to be there. And then you've got no staff wages, which is 35% of your expenses. And look at that, you've turned your business around, and you've got time to do other things. So passive income models don't come for free. You do pay for them, but they are definitely worth it. Set up your systems, do your automation, look at all of low-hanging fruit, things like bookkeeping and things. You don't want to be doing that. You can automate 90% of that. Get rid of all that stuff, and you've got all your time in the world to think about the big problems of your business and where you want to take it.
It's like both of us know Adam Coffey, and Adam Coffey also had the laundromat system, but it's automating it as per se, right? Like he shared the story where back in the day they were holding keys and keys of each machine just to take the coins out, and you have the coin machine being stolen. So it's finding the right tool and the right, especially in this day and age with AI and machines, is finding the right tool and protocols or machines that will help you in terms of system automizing something within the business that can be automated to maximize the profits of your business.
That's right. You don't need to invent these tools. They all exist. You just need to bring them together. And you mentioned Adam Coffey. I think I'm meeting up with him in a couple of months here in Australia on one of his very rare trips overseas. And he'll be talking about scaling businesses then. And automation and systemization is definitely a part of that, and knowing your unit cost. You need to know, like if you're in a restaurant, you need to know what each plate of food is costing you to make. That's your unit cost. If you don't know your numbers, you're in big trouble.
So what's a story that you can share with us in terms of, let's say, the most stressful or funny story of owning a laundromat?
I'll start with the funny one first. I had a call from a regular customer. This is when I only had 2 laundromats. It was about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, which is normally our quietest time because it's school pickup time and the roads are a bit busy and mums are picking up their kids from school and the laundromats are generally empty. But one of my regulars, who's an older lady, rang me from outside the shop and said there was a naked lady in the shop. And I didn't believe her, so I looked on the camera and sure enough there was. And they were doing a photo shoot. The lady was naked on top of the washing machines with a hat covering certain bits, and a professional photographer taking her photos at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So I was a bit amused by that. It turned out it was quite tasteful in the end. It's just that they didn't ask us or tell us or let us know that it was happening. Like I could have shut the doors for it for a little while. So that was a bit of a surprise.
Did you utilize that in promoting spin zone?
I didn't actually. I didn't use that one. I kept that a bit discreet. The best promotion I did was at the same laundromat very early on. It was Mother's Day the next day, and someone came into the laundromat late at night and pinched a pot plant that I had. And I'm sure it was because it was Mother's Day the next day. Oh. And I put it on our social media Canberra page for the whole city to see because I put the whole video on of them taking it, but I did hide their face. And I got nearly 300,000 views overnight, and most of them said, "Oh, I didn't know there's a new laundromat there." So it was the best publicity I've ever done. Like I couldn't have made it better. And the gentleman actually put a ski mask on the next day and brought it back with a note that said sorry. So I put that on social media as well, and it got even more views. So that was really good as well.
Oh, wow.
very
Don't do
very
that.
unplanned, but I thought, geez, you couldn't have planned it better if you wanted to.
All right. Maximize as much opportunity as you can get through that day.
Take advantage of every opportunity. There's always one.
Yeah. And it seems like it's a fun business to have. Like there doesn't seem to be any much stress towards it, isn't it? With the naked lady to the
Yeah,
pot plant staff.
yeah. The people are probably what make it the best. The people who use your laundromat respect it. They like it. They look after it. I've had people come and clean it up. You know, clean their coffee that they've spilt. We've got a spill mop in the corner. They clean it up themselves. They've tidied the magazines. They've wiped the benches down. You know, they use it. They look after it.
But you did your homework too, though. You selected a right location in terms of of
Yeah,
places and suburbs to actually open up that
yeah.
laundromat.
We didn't talk too much about that, but finding the locations is the most important thing, and it's what I do spend the most amount of time on. I use GapMap software, which is a platform that allows you to put your own formula into it to find different parts of demographics and population density and rainfall and all these sorts of things. All your competition are all mapped out. So from that, I find all these golden spots around Australia that are still ready and prime for a good laundromat. I give that list of great locations to my lease agent, and then she goes and finds sites only in those locations. So we don't find an empty site and go, hey, this looks like a good idea for a laundromat. There's no way we do that. I've had people come to me with vacant shops saying, hey, can I have a spin zone? And I've done a catchment report for them and said, no, I'm not going to do it. I've shown them the catchment report and I've showed them why. Once I show them, they can see, they can understand. And then they're actually very thankful that I've showed them because they were going to build a laundromat in a spot that wouldn't work. So, look, there are people that have built them in places where they probably shouldn't have, and they can survive. But you don't want a business that can just survive. You want it to thrive, not survive. You want it to go fantastic. So it's worth doing the research up front. It's worth doing your planning. It's worth getting it right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks, Chris, for, today and sharing your experience. If anyone wants to have used Spin Zone and wants to share us a photo of their experience in Spin Zone, make sure you're not naked, but maybe ask permission from Chris and his wife. But if you want to follow Chris's journey in terms of his laundromat business and stuff like that, by all means, follow him on social media. I shall put it on the description below. If you like this episode today with Chris and the funny little stories that we've had and shared today, please do like, subscribe, and share this podcast to your friends. And also, I will put on the description on how you can get in touch with Chris, let's say, but please don't spam him with unnecessary things. But having said that, if you guys are interested in franchising, I'm going to put it down as well on episode 42 on Spotify with Susanna Hans, which is who Chris and Gary are working with in terms of their franchising business themselves. But again, Chris, thank you so much for being part of this and sharing your experience.
Thank you, Lorraine. You're fantastic. Love your work.
Thank you.